Today we're going to be talking about equivalent fractions. Equivalent fractions. E-Q-U-I-V-A-L-E-N-T. How do we find fractions that are equal to other fractions? We already discussed that there is an unlimited number of equal fractions no matter which fraction you're looking at, and we used a number line. We'll make this same number line out of thirds. 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. This equals a whole. We used a number line to show how we could find equivalent fractions by splitting this number line up into more equal parts. Right now it's split into 3 equal parts. Here's our first equal part, our second, and our third. So now, if we were to be asked how many thirds, how many 1/3 is equal to sixths? One way we could do that is to figure out how many times we would need to split this number line up to get it equal to sixths. And we would split this number line up in what's called a two-split. We're going to draw one line and split it into two equal places here. Draw another line between this third, and that would become our third and our fourth equal piece, and another line, another two-split between our last third, which becomes our fifth and our sixth equal pieces. And now we can see we just went from 3 equal pieces to 6 equal pieces. And the question was, how many sixths is equal to 1/3? So, change the colors a little bit here and show you that 1/3 on our original number line is still labeled. It's right here, still labeled. This is 1/3. That equals our 1/3. And we have two-split our number line. Each and every third, we two-split it to create 6 equal parts. So if we just look at this same exact area here, right here, then we can see that there are now 1, 2, 6 that are equal to the exact same amount of 1/3. So using a number line and splitting it up might be one way where you can find equivalent fractions. I'd like to also point out that by splitting this number line, really, in fact, what we've done is we've doubled the number line, or we've multiplied by 2. And so if you know how many times to split the number line to create 6, you could have simply just multiplied 1/3 times 2, both on the numerator and the denominator, since you two-split them. So you doubled the number of equal places it takes to make a whole. That's the denominator. You've doubled that by two-splitting. You've also doubled the number of pieces you have, which is called the numerator. So you've doubled both the number of pieces you have right here, and doubled also the number of pieces that it takes to make a whole. So you could have just multiplied this fraction by 2, both top and bottom, or both numerator and denominator. I would like you to try one of these now. So I'm going to create the number line, and we're going to make this one out of fourths. So we have 1/4, 2/4, or 1/2, also a half, 3/4, and 4/4 are also equal to 1 whole. Now when I ask you to, I'm going to need you to pause the video so that you can think of how many times you're going to need to two-split this. The question is, how many 16ths is 1/4 equal to? 1/4 equals how many 16ths? Well, the number line is already in fourths for you. So now I'd like you to pause the video and figure out how many times you would have to split each of these fours. Each and every one of these fours, how many times would you have to split it in order to get 16 equal parts? Pause the video now, please. Well, hopefully you're back, and now you can see whether or not you were correct. In order to create 16 equal places, we're going to need 4 equal places within each of these fours. So we're going to need to split this 1, 2, 3 times, or 3 lines must be drawn to split it 4 times. This is what you would call a 4 split. We're splitting this section into 4 equal parts, and 3 lines must be drawn to do that. We're going to do that with each and every one of these. And if you go through and count each of these now, you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So we've done that correctly. So hopefully you said we would have to split each of these sections 4 times, or you said we would have to draw 3 lines in order to split that 4 times. So if we 4 split using the little trick of multiplication, knowing that if we have to floor split that to get 16, then we could simply just multiply this fraction, numerator and denominator, by 4. And 1 times 4 would equal 4, and 4 times 4 equals 16. Also, we could have gone up to the number line and circled our value of 1/4, circled the original 1/4, and then simply counted how many 16ths were within the same space. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's proof that we're correct. Do one more example here. We're going to create a number line here out of fifths. And again, I'm going to ask you to pause this and see if you can come up with the number of splits that it's going to take to find your equivalent fraction. And 5/5. Okay, so here's the question. 2/5 is equal to how many 20ths? So the first question you're going to need to ask yourself is, how many equal parts do I need to change this number line into? As of right now, it's in 5 equal parts, but the question is asking you to change 2/5 into something out of 20ths. So the number of equal spaces you need to turn this into is going to be 20. Now, I'd like you to pause the video and see if you can come up with how many splits you're going to need to make in between each of these equal fifths in order to turn it into 20ths. Pause the video now. Welcome back. And in order to turn this number line into 20ths, hopefully you said you were going to have to 4 split this. Another 4 split would require that you drew 3 lines within each equal, not so equal, but close to equal segments. If you do that, you can see now that you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 20 equal parts, that's what we were going for. Now all we need to do is simply go up to the number line and circle the original amount, 2/5, so we can see what that looked like. There it is. And now we have 2 options here, and I'd actually like you to not just count the equal 20ths up there. I'd like you to take a look at this fraction down here, these 2 fractions, and take a look at the denominators. And remember what I explained before. Once you know how many times you have to split, you could simply just multiply the original fraction 2/5 by that number of splits. rather than having to go up and actually count these. So take a look at the denominators for a second and ask yourself this. If you know your multiplication tables, what could you multiply to 5 to get 20? If you knew your multiplication tables and you said 4, then you know your 5s, and 5 times 4 does equal 20. Well, if you recall, we talked a lot about balance, and whatever you do to one side of the fraction here, you also need to do to the other in order to keep this fraction equal. So if we do multiply the bottom times 4, we need to do the same to the top, and that will get us 8. Now we can check our work by going back up to our number line and seeing if that is correct. If we do have actually 8 equal parts after changing our number line to 20 equal parts, and let's see if there's 8 contained within this 2/5. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Proof again that we are correct. But I want you to remember this last part and take a look at this fraction. If I asked you how many 20ths there were in 3/5, you really should just start taking this shortcut of figuring out what you need to multiply to 5 to get 20. And by using the 4, you can do the same thing to the top and get 12/20ths. Here's a few easy fractions to practice with on that. Let's start with 1/2. And how many 4ths with 1/2 equal? Well, again, if you know your multiplication, you could skip the number line process altogether and just figure out that 2 times some number equals 4, and that number is, that's right, 2. And whatever you do to the bottom, you just simply do to the top, and that will yield you or provide you with an equal fraction. 2/4 and 1/2 are equal. We proved that yesterday when we listed a bunch of fractions that equaled 1/2. So try this one. You have 5/6. I'd like to know what fraction 5/6 is equal to out of a denominator of 20. Let's do 24. So, thinking about your math facts, 6 times some number equals 24. This number would represent your split on your number line if you had one. 6 times, which number is 24? That's right, 4. And so whatever you do to the bottom, you're going to just simply do to the top to find your equal fraction. 5 times 4, which equals 20. Now, if you finish this video with time left, I'd like you to go to showme.com and practice writing some fractions of your own and some problems similar to this and solving them. What you will find out is, in order to write a good problem like this, you have to create whatever your first fraction is, doesn't matter, but your second fraction must have a denominator that this denominator will go into evenly. So your options for this denominator over here are really limited. You really have to make it something that 3 will go into equally, and that could be numbers like 6, 9, 12, 15, or other words, multiples of 3. Multiples of 3 are 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, and of course they're endless. So pick a fraction that is a multiple of 18. That way you will be able to create fractions or problems that will work. So 3 times 18 in this case is 6. Do the same to the top, and there's an equal fraction. Now go to showme.com and practice some of these on your own.